Hello again, YouTubers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm your host, the Board Game Captain, and this is Dave, the manager of Fair Game in Downers Grove, Illinois, USA. That is located right on Main Street in the middle of downtown Downers Grove, and this is the second part of my spotlight on a friendly local game store, Fair Game, that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be interviewing Dave, the manager of Fair Game, who puts the friendly in friendly local game store. So, first of all, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for coming.
Dave, let me ask you, what is your favorite part about managing Fair Game?
My favorite part of managing has to be the customers. We have a great community at Fair Game of people who are very devoted to supporting their local game store and fully willing to hang out and talk and game, and they're just wonderful people, and we're glad that we're able to have them, and that's one of the reasons why we continue running the store.
Well, being that I'm one of the customers, I'm going to have to agree with you that is a great part of it. But let me ask you, now, you definitely never do the hard sell. You're not the kind of person that when I come into Fair Game, you always say hi. You make a very good point of trying to know all your customers by their name, but you never try to pressure anybody into buying the latest game. If people want to ask you about a specific game or for a recommendation about a game, you're always willing to give your 2 cents and recommend a good game. But you never follow people around. You never try to do the hard sell. I was wondering if you would talk a little bit about your philosophy in selling to the customer.
Got it. Yeah, I think that the general thing that I always try to go with is to be honest, is to give an honest recommendation and make sure that they're going to be happy with what they walk out with. A good example is that we have Dominion, the first deck building game ever, recently went through a second edition.
Oh, okay.
And the second edition is far and away, they improved a lot on that base game, and we still have a copy of the first edition in stock, and people will come up with it and be like, all right, I want to buy Dominion, and I'm like, well, actually, there's a second edition that you should go for, and I would love to get rid of the first edition from the shelf, because honestly, the second edition is just so much better, but just being able to say to them, hey, listen, you're actually going to have a much better time if you walk away with this second edition, and saying, yeah, that it's just being honest and making sure that you never let what you want to sell get in the way of what they want to buy.
You know, and even though it makes the first edition of the game sit around on the shelf, I mean, that's very smart for having repeat customers, because I can tell you as a customer, I appreciate you making sure I leave with the right game. Mm-hmm. So that is a very good thing. Let me ask you, what are some of your current favorite games to play when you have time to play?
Got it. Yeah, so there are 3 that I've been obsessed with recently. Okay. The first is Hero Realms, the deck building game from White Wizard Games that just came out.
That's the one that's like a sister game to Star Realms.
Yes,
right.
and it's very similar, and the rule set is 90% the same, but there's some directions that they're taking it with some of the different things that they're adding on to it.
Like the character packs?
Like the character packs, okay. And then they're coming out with campaign packs so you can play it as a cooperative game.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, and boss packs that are coming out, and you can either fight a boss monster, or you can have 2 boss monsters fight each other. So I'm excited to see where they go with that. And then the third game, that's the first game. Second game is Lotus from Renegade Games, which is the sort of half hand management, half area control. It's a very visually interesting game.
That's the one where you play the cards to make the flowers on the table,
Yeah, to make the flowers on the table, and it's about 2 things. First of all, is building the beautiful flowers, and second of all, is stabbing your friends in the back and trying to manipulate them. So it gets very dark despite being very colorful. And then the third game is Patchwork, which is a game from Uwe Rosenberg. Came out a while ago, but we just got a demo copy in a couple days ago, and I just have not been able to stop playing the game.
So this is like a brand new favorite of yours.
Yes, fresh. I tried it and I was like, okay, I'll try this one again, and then I was like, oh no, I just want to play this one as much as I can.
No, I've watched a few videos of this. I haven't played it myself yet, but it's the one where the pieces, they kind of look like Tetris pieces, and you're fitting them together to make a quilt?
Yep, and you're trying to fill it together to make a quilt, and at the end of the game, each spot that you weren't able to use on your board is a -2 victory points.
Oh, okay.
So you're trying to fit together as tightly as you can, but there's also how many spaces you have to move, and it's a button-based economy, how many buttons you have to spend in order to build them. So there's a lot of decisions you have to make, despite being, although a little bit abstract, a very simple game to learn.
So it's kind of puzzly, kind of positional strategy, a little little bit of abstract strategy. That sounds like fun. I think we'd have to give that one a try, actually.
And we have a copy on our demo library if you want to break it open.
That is excellent. I would like to. Now, let's see. I want to talk to you a little bit about the upcoming 24-hour gaming charity marathon that's going to be being run here at Fair Game. Now, that is on May 27th.
Yep.
So for those of you interested, 24 hours of gaming here at Fair Game in the middle of downtown Downers Grove on May 27th for a good cause. So now I would like to ask you about how that's going and how the planning is being set up for the gaming marathon.
Got it. So this is something that we do semi-regularly, although you can't do midnight to midnight tabletop gaming every day of the week. But so it's midnight to midnight, where we've had a full schedule of events planned, and one of those events is open gaming. So if you're interested in participating, you can call the store, say, hey, I'm going to be here from this time to this time. We'll set aside a table for you, and then you'll be able to come in and play. And the event hopes to raise money for 3 different charities. They're Sharing Connections, which is local to Downers Grove. They work on getting furnishings for low-income households. There's Dive Heart, which does work with veterans and diving, and it's a lot more than I can go into here. And then there's also the Rotary Club. Rotary International is doing their End Polio No campaign.
Yes.
And all 3 of them are going to be supported through a charity raffle that we're doing that day, where you can buy raffle tickets, win great prizes that have been donated, including pairs of Cubs tickets, and we have some dice towers, we have some board games. So we're hoping that people come out and support local charities by gaming on the tabletop and winning some great prizes.
Well, that's some great stuff. And I just want to make a special note. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be coming by, I'm not going to come by at midnight, but in the morning, I'm going to come by somewhere between about 6 and 8 a.m., and I'm going to try to game all the way to the following midnight, and I'm going to be here playing games. So feel free to come by and game with the captain, as well as put in for these raffles to help raise money for a good cause. And I'm going to put a link in the description of this video to the URL of the current schedule that you guys have that you're updating for the events on that day.
Yep. And from that link as well, you'll be able to donate to those 3 charities. So if your viewers want to support you in your many hours of gaming for charity, they can feel free to do those.
So if you can't make it by, be sure to follow the link. If you would like to subscribe, if you would like to donate to the to any of the 3 charities that we mentioned, follow the link and you can also donate to them. And if you are going to be in the area and you have any free time, anytime during May 27th, and you're going to be anywhere near Downers Grove, come to downtown Downers Grove, come into Fair Game and game for a good cause. So now the next question I'd like to ask you, and this is a little bit of we just did a very positive question. I think we're going to go in the opposite direction with a negative question. I'm curious, what are some of your least favorite game mechanics? Now, these would be game mechanics that when you see them in a game, you're less likely to play them, and in severe cases, you might not even want to stock them in the store.
So there's 2 that immediately come to mind. There is Roll and Move, which is widely panned as just a bad game mechanic. And then the other one is when a game takes too long for what you get out of it. So one that comes to mind is, and I love this game, however, it takes some serious house ruling, is Tales of the Arabian Nights.
Oh, Lynn is going to kick your butt.
Well, now here's the thing. I love that game. But if you play by the rules as they're written in the manual in the 2nd or 3rd edition, whatever is most recent release, that game will take you all night.
It's an hour per player.
Yeah, and it gets to be really, really long. I like to cut the game in half.
Now, how many players are we talking where you think it's too long?
Normally I play with 4.
Well, see, now that's a 4-hour game.
Yeah. So a 4-hour game is too long. So we cut it in half. We say, all right, we're going to play until you hit. This is going to be the end game tradition. End game condition, and we absolutely love it in that time span. But if you play it as written, and there are some other games as well that I can think of, namely The Gallerist by Vita Lacerda, which is this beautiful game. It has so many interesting mechanics that are hooked up to each other, but last time I played it, it took 5 hours, and I enjoyed it a lot, but it's just I can't always fit that into my schedule. And so games like that are the ones where I look at them and I'm like, it just takes a little bit too long to actually support it too much. So.
Fair enough. Now, tell me, what is one of the very first games that just hooked you into the tabletop gaming hobby?
So my trajectory through board games went. The first game I bought of the new era of board games was Carcassonne. Loved that.
Classic, yeah.
So I bought Dominion, and I loved Dominion, and I was like, dang, that's so cool. All of the components are cards, and you can build this fully immersive game with that. Then I went to Agricola and Worker Placement, and we'd be able to play that game again. It was my brother and I. We were just playing until the wee hours of the morning. Just every game was a little bit different.
There's so many different ways to win.
So many different ways to win. So many different things to explore about the game that we just couldn't get enough of it. And then we went to the reboot of Android Netrunner from Fantasy Flight Games. So not the one in the 90s, the one that came back in, I think it was 2012.
When they did it as a living card game versus the original collectible card game.
Yeah, and that one is the one that really got me into like heavy dedicated gaming. Got me into the fair game initially because we have the meetup on Tuesdays, and then from there I just went wild with gaming.
Fair enough. Now this is a bit of another fun question, if you will. There's a lot of very overused themes in gaming. You see quite a few games that have the Call of Cthulhu theme on it. You see tons of games about the zombie apocalypse or about Dracula, or whenever there's a military strategy game, it's always World War II. It's as if people who design games don't think there were ever any other historical wars other than World War II. But I was curious if you would talk about, in your personal opinion, what is one of the most underutilized themes in modern gaming?
So I think as a sort of general response, I just want to see board game publishers experiment more with themes. I want to see them take weird themes and put a game on it, because very frequently there'll be a game that has very cool mechanics going on, but it'll just have this pasted on theme, so it doesn't feel very, very thematic or interesting or different.
So you might as well throw a really weird theme on it.
A weird theme on it and see how people explore that space. For example, you could do something with wedding planning.
With wedding planning,
and you could have a groom and a bride, or two people that are getting married, and each one of them has complete Spock and Godzilla.
Oh, we were talking about like planning a theme wedding
with entirely. How do you reconcile
with clashing themes?
Clashing themes.
Okay, now I'm on board. This sounds interesting.
So
actually,
you just take these two bizarre figures, and you need to reconcile both of the things that they want.
Okay, so you've got the bride side is doing a Star Trek theme, and the bride is dressed up as Spock, and the groom side is doing a kaiju theme, and the groom is dressed up as Godzilla. Is that Spock and Godzilla?
And what do you put on the menu?
Wow. You know what? Actually, if I saw that as a cover illustration of a game with Spock and Godzilla getting married and people fighting over the different themes, I would buy that game. That actually sounds really cool. We need to talk about it. Maybe we should come up with this game. TM. Okay, so now another fun question. If you could spend an evening gaming with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
A lot of board gaming is about who you're gaming with. So I could say friends and family and game with them and have a great night. Or I could say General Patton. World War II general, brilliant strategist.
Indeed.
Because then if I play him, I can see how does he go about winning a game of Blood Rage.
Okay.
Or then if I beat him, I get bragging rights for the rest of.
That would be amazing.
I beat General Patton in Sushi Go, so we're World War II.
Of course, if you had to brag with everyone, of course, then you're going to have to tell them where you've hidden the time machine.
Yes, that is.
That is a problem.
well, he took the time anyway. It was a complicated evening.
Fair enough. I like your answer, by the way. I think that's good, gaming with Patton. And then one final question. Would you like to ask me anything?
The question I would like to ask is, what do you want to see out of Fair Game? What things would you like to see us do?
Well, now, this is something I've thought about a little bit, and I like how you have some snacks and some sodas here. So if you're gaming for a long time, you have something to drink and eat. I would love to see more of that. Specifically, I would love to see if you guys offered, say, a pot of tea, because I love to have a cup of tea while I'm gaming. I would love to purchase a pot of tea over a game of Caverna, or several pots of tea over a game of Twilight Imperium, for instance, and just sit here and game and have tea with my fellow gamers. I think that'd be great.
Got it. And that's something that we are looking into. As soon as you go from the sodas that we do have from pre-packaged food into prepared food, there's different licensure that's required.
Fair enough.
So it's something that got a few hoops that we have to jump through, but it's certainly something that we're very interested in. So we'll have to take that in mind.
Very cool, and I would be interested in it if you guys offered it for sure. So there you have it. That is my interview with Dave, the manager of Fair Game, which is located in the middle of downtown Downers Grove on Main Street. So be sure to come by Fair Game and check it out. And also, if you are free and going to be in the area on May 27th, when they're doing the 24-hour gaming marathon for charity, be sure to come down and game for a good cause. So again, thank you, Dave, very much for having me.
Thank you for coming out.
And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns either about the event on May 27th, which I'm going to have a link to in the description down below, but if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to put them in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see me do more like it, give it a like, share this video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Kaptain. That is Captain spelled with a K on YouTube. And until next time, game on.